morning, dolls, and welcome to Little Gretchen's workshop. So today I just want to take a moment before I get to the featured video. I just wanted to say a special thank you to each and every one of you, whether today is the first time you watched the video or whether you've been with me from the very beginning. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate you for being here and allowing me to share with you, for coming every week, twice a week, to listen and listen to watch my content, to listen to my stories about the dolls, and just allow me to share my art with you. It just means so very, very much. And it's a few things I just wanted to share with you today about some of my plans going forward. I've got quite a few things in the works that I'm going to be rolling out, but I'm not going to go into it. But I just want to kind of give you just a hint that there's some really great things on the horizon for you. I have quite a few things still to make for SAIDI and Margarite's wedding, so that's kind of the main thing that I'm working on right now. But also, in addition to that, there's some great things that I'm preparing. I better be quiet before I tell too much. I'm not going to tell too much. But I do want to take a moment to acknowledge those of you who've been supporting me on my Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee is, like, for lack of a better word, just a way for you. It's like a tip jar for the channel. I do appreciate those of you who use the super thanks option. That is awesome. But I also definitely want to acknowledge those of you all who have been supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee. And I just want to acknowledge Heather Kent, Kelly Penny, Christine B, Joe Mish 45, Sugar 12-inch, Somber Beast, Diane Laird, Gloria, Figgy 709, and Prolific to Buy. Now, it just really means a lot to me that you all have been supporting me there, because it allows me to purchase supplies and things that will help me to make the channel better, so I can continue to produce content that you dolls are enjoying. And I just definitely want to do everything I can to keep it where you enjoy it and make it better as I progress on the channel. This has been a phenomenal journey. I can just barely I'm not going to say I don't believe it, but I'm just so grateful. The last time I looked, I had just crossed over to 7,000 subscribers. And dolls, that is absolutely incredible to me, because I remember hoping that I could get 100 people to watch me so that I would be encouraged to continue. So this has been incredible. I also want to acknowledge and give a shout out to Dray Hill for producing my new music here on Little Gretchen's Workshop. I haven't debuted it here on the channel yet, but I have done a short, and I also have posted it on my Facebook fan page and on Instagram using my custom theme song for Little Gretchen's Workshop. It's not actually words, it's just more music. I haven't historically been one that was big on music in the background while my videos play, but it is custom music for me to use in different ways when I have different things that I do here on YouTube. Sometimes music would be a good thing to have. So I do have a custom song. I will leave the information for Dray Hill. He's an incredible filmmaker, and he is an incredible musician. He writes and produces music, so he's really, really awesome. And I just want to give a special shout out to him. I also want to acknowledge a very special gift I received from a very dear friend of mine. It actually was a birthday gift, but I actually didn't get it at my birthday because we kind of live far from each other. But I've since gotten the gift, and I just wanted to share it with you dolls. It's actually a custom portrait of me. It was painted, a custom picture painted for me by an amazing artist that lives here in Michigan. She's in Lansing, and it's just been incredible. But I want to say a shout out, thank you to Janine. But I just want to share with you, this picture was painted by Mila Lynn of Lansing. And it's an incredible picture that she painted of me using the picture from my YouTube channel. Okay, dolls, I'm not going to cry, but that really, really touched me. It really meant a lot to me that she was, one, that she's so talented. She was able to paint a beautiful picture like this using my favorite colors in the portrait, but also that she was able to paint it off of a picture. I wasn't actually present when she painted this. She painted it off of a picture, so she's just incredible. I mean, just the way she did the colors and the lighting and everything. It's just incredible. And I just want to say thank you to Janine for giving it to me, and thank you for Mila Lynn for painting it. And I will leave Mila's information in my description if anyone's interested in her services as an artist. I definitely want you to be able to get in contact with her. Okay, I'm gonna have to get out of here because I'm getting emotional, but you dolls just don't know how much all of this means to me, this channel, how much it means to be able to share with you all, and that you all allow me to share, because it's a give and take. It's not something you can do without, it wouldn't be what it is without you all being present. I've made things for years and had nobody to share it with, really, other than my daddy. And so for you all to come here and be here every week with me means so very much. So let me go ahead and let you go, and let's go on and get to what's going on with the dolls, which is the featured video for today, just to bring you up to date with what's happening in the rooming house. In episode 13 of What's Happening Among the Dolls, Margarite kissed SAIDI after telling him she wanted to postpone the wedding because she had uncertainty about the future. SAIDI assured her that he loved her, that he would wait for her, and he was willing to wait as long as she needed to be sure that she wanted to be with him. After Marguerite and SAIDI informed Marguerite's parents that they were postponing the wedding, her father Sterling became very suspicious and was upset with SAIDI as to why they were postponing the wedding. When Miss Maisie, Marguerite's grandmother, got word of the news, she sat both of them down and had a good talk with them, and after sending SAIDI to his room, she scolded Marguerite for causing so much confusion in the house. The story picks up the next day when Marguerite learns that SAIDI has left the rooming house, but because of all the confusion with her parents, he didn't talk to her before he left. And after having the long conversation with Miss Maisie, it made Marguerite wonder if she had done the right thing. Although she was concerned, she had a lot of work to do because Aunt Bess had taken orders from so many of the people in the community preparing for her wedding. Down in the showroom, Aunt Charlotte was admiring the beautiful dress Marguerite had made for little Tracy, and she was happy with the outfit that Aunt Bess had made for her. Right after the announcement of Albert and Violet expecting a new baby, they just announced that Aunt Charlotte was having a new baby as well. So the dress shop is definitely going to be busy these next few months, making sure these families are properly outfitted. Meanwhile, back at the rooming house, Pop and Big Daddy were trying to reassure Sterling that SAIDI truly loved Marguerite and that he only had good intentions toward her. In the midst of the conversation, Sterling confided in them what his concerns were. Sterling was concerned that SAIDI had influenced Marguerite into postponing the wedding so that he at some point could call it off because Marguerite was clay. Back in the dining room, Miss Maisie and Big Ma were having a confidential conversation to forge ahead with the planning of the wedding. And Miss Maisie assured Big Ma that Marguerite would be marrying SAIDI. Miss Maisie told Big Ma that Marguerite just needs to know what it feels like for SAIDI to not be around for a little while. Then her true feelings can come forward. Big Ma agreed because she felt like the children just had cold feet. Later that afternoon, while Sterling and Marva were talking, Sterling expressed that he was concerned that SAIDI didn't want to marry Marguerite because she was clay. Marva assured Sterling that she didn't think that was it. She told him that she believes that the postponement was Marguerite's idea, and she believed that it didn't matter to SAIDI whether Marguerite was clay or porcelain. He still loved her. Later that day, just before closing at the dress shop, Harley brought up some orders from the showroom to Aunt Bess, and she asked Harley how she enjoyed working there at the dress shop. Even though Marguerite's mind was preoccupied thinking about SAIDI, she listened in as Aunt Bess talked to Harley. She could tell that Aunt Bess wanted to make Harley an apprentice. Just before closing, Pop showed up at the dress shop with 2 floral deliveries. One was a beautiful pink floral arrangement for the grand opening of the dress shop from a satisfied patron, and the other bouquet of flowers was a special delivery just for Miss Betty, personally from Pop. Pop really liked Miss Betty a lot. Aunt Janie and Marguerite stood by smiling and watching how happy Miss Betty was at that moment. Watching Miss Betty and Pop made her feel sentimental because it was in this very room a little over a year ago that she first laid eyes on SAIDI. It hadn't even been 24 hours since she postponed the wedding, and she was already beginning to miss him. Now Marguerite was wondering whether she had done the right thing. With the way Pop and Miss Betty are getting along, it won't be long before they'll probably want to get married, and then Aunt Charlotte and Violet are having new babies. At that moment, even though Marguerite knew that she was the one that had initiated the postponement of the wedding, she felt kind of sad and even a little left out. It was as though everyone else's lives were moving forward and she had put her own on pause. As Miss Betty accepted the flowers from Pop, she broke out in the biggest smile that really encouraged Pop and made him feel happy because he could clearly see that Miss Betty was flattered by the flowers. After Miss Betty thanked Pop, Pop turned to Aunt Janie to let her know that the other package delivery was for the dress shop. He told her that the floral delivery man got confused because the dress shop doesn't have a name out front. Aunt Janie smiled and accepted the package and thanked Pop for bringing it over. Then Aunt Janie turned to Marguerite and told her to take the flowers upstairs to the office. She thought they would look perfect on the desk. Plus, the gift would really be encouraging for Aunt Bess to see. Marguerite quietly did as she was told and took the floral arrangement upstairs to the office. It was such a beautiful arrangement of big pink roses. And although the gifts were a gift to them at the dress shop as a team, and although the flowers were beautiful, it just wasn't the same as when SAIDI had given her the bouquet. After Marguerite had left for the day, Aunt Bess was in the office admiring the flowers. Although Aunt Bess has a perpetual big smile, she's really not one to get very emotional about anything, especially things like flowers, but this brought a tear to her eye. Before Pop left the dress shop from talking to Aunt Betty, he asked her if it was okay if he sat next to her at dinner. Miss Betty told him that she would like that very much. After dinner that evening, the men were talking in the dining room, and Big Daddy suggested to Sterling that it was high time that Claude start going with them on some of their jobs to learn how to do things around the houses. Claude was a little bit nervous, but he was very excited, and he couldn't wait for Harley to find out that he was working with the men on the houses and the job sites. That would prove to her that he wasn't a little boy. Meanwhile, back in the parlor, the ladies were excited and chattering and clamoring about the realization that Aunt Charlotte's baby and Violet's baby were due around the same time. The ladies laughed and shared their own birthing stories with one another, while Tracy and Harley stood by and listened. They decided among themselves who would make blankets and booties and sweaters and bonnets for the new babies. Everyone was excited about the prospect of the wonderful little bundles of joy on their way to the rooming house. And although Marguerite was very happy for Aunt Charlotte because she had been so sweet to her, and she was really happy for Violet because she had truly been a friend to her since she had been to the rooming house, Marguerite was having so many feelings she really didn't know how to address any of them. She was thinking about the conversation she had had with her grandmother about telling SAIDI that she wanted to postpone the wedding. She was missing SAIDI and wondering where he was and why he didn't tell her that he was leaving. And even though she was in a room full of people that she knew cared about her, she felt very alone. Although Aunt Janie worked at the dress shop, she was the community midwife, and she made sure she let the ladies know that they'd be able to reach her at any time. Harley and Tracy were really excited at the prospect of new babies. New babies are always so much fun, and Harley and Tracy were really excited because they knew that they would be allowed to help Aunt Charlotte and Violet with the new babies when they come. When the day finally ended, Marguerite was glad to be back in her room alone so she could collect her thoughts and think about the events of the last 24 hours. She picked up the valentine he had given her after she told him that she wanted to postpone the wedding. Then she looked over at the jewelry box he had given her with the gold ring in it, and the bouquet of flowers he had given her while he was waiting to get permission to court her, and wondered whether SAIDI really would wait for her while she decided what she wanted to do.